or bring the jury in?
Not from the state.
Nothing from us, Your Honor.
Okay. You can bring them in.
All right, sound good. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to resume. Mr. Collins, I remind you, you're still under oath. Go ahead, Mr. Duane.
Thank you, Your Honor. So last we were in here, we had watched at least part one of that second interview, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that interview was on December 7th of 2020?
That's correct.
Okay, having done the first interview on November 18th.
That's correct.
Last order, also an house. Okay. So Kianna shows up. Okay. Anybody come over? Did you go anywhere? How was his behavior, something? He was all good?
Yeah.
Okay. So no issue Sunday was there. Nothing happened, no accidents happened, no setting nothing point out.
Just Saturday when his eye got swollen. That was it.
Okay. And I was just out of the blue, nothing happened that you know of the causes out of swelling?
No, because we had just been to the doctor's about 2 weeks before that because he had a bag of chips and his whole face blew up. So, she said, when I was there, she told me that he could possibly have another allergic reaction later on. So I assumed that that was what she was saying is.
Okay. So, we're clear on, obviously Tuesday morning, we're clear on Monday night, clear on Monday, clear on Sunday. Saturday, the only place you went was Granddad's. He was in your supervision the whole time. Okay. Real quick, Friday, what was Friday?
Friday I went to work, he was at daycare.
He was at daycare Friday. Okay. Where did she go?
He goes to daycare at a lady named Faye Park.
Faye Park. She got you for PE. Is that a personal person? It's not like daycare.
No, she has a at-home daycare.
At home daycare. Okay. Where is that at?
I don't think we're supposed to.
Yeah.
About or middle.
I'm sorry.
Right on the same road as Lawrence Middle School.
Do you have a phone number? You say you have any company?
No, they got that address.
It is 478-213-9661.
What time was he there Friday?
He gets there at about 6:30 in the morning.
And what time was he picked 6. When you picked them up, was there any issues? Any complaints or anything going on then? He was fine all Friday night, he was fine all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. Okay. All right. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important?
Just not really from what happened, but I've been asking just for so long for an allergy test for everything because he's had episodes of throwing up all the time from regular milk to whatever, and we even been referred to a pulmonologist. We never got tested. So I've always had concerns that something, it was deeper than just a breathing issue that they were trying to tell me, because every time we go in, most of the time he's not sick. They test him for everything and the breathing just happens. So
well, it doesn't, I don't believe this is due to any kind of allergy. Okay? I talked with the medical examiner. Okay? What they have, the initial right now, okay, is he had a lacerated liver. Okay, he had blood in that. He had multiple contusions of his body. He had lacerations to his pancreas where it attaches to his body. Okay, there was no signs of any breathing issue that would cause his death. Okay. So there was something that happened to him. There was some type of injury to his abdomen that caused this to his liver and the contusions to his body, some sort of impact.
there's nothing that literally, he's never had any issues with his stomach. Never been hit. Nothing.
They don't think this would be from a fall. Okay, so it's not from a fall, and it's just multiple impacts that cause the injuries, to the internal injuries. Okay. It's like, getting hit with stomach real hard.
He doesn't even hang out with the kids and take care.
Well, here's the other part of it, is that I understand this is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation that does these autopsies. Okay. They're saying that whatever caused these injuries happened within 24 hours of his death.
Nothing.
Well, there's some things that could happen. There's some things that had to happen. Something had to happen. You don't get this without something happening. So,
Labor. The child isn't even.
how does Mr. Benton, does he ever think
No. God.
about yourself? How do you know?
No. I don't even hit my child. That's literally part of everyone's issue is that
Who's
I'm
this?
not disciplined. His fault. I'm too nice. He's 2. So there's no reason to discipline a 2-year-old when he's still learning.
Yeah. I understand. But something happened. And the only right now is you were around, Mr. Benton was around, and if you go back, Grandpa was around. But you were supervising the whole time there, and that was well before 24 hours. Okay? Okay, pretty much he started getting sick, according to y'all, after lunch Monday. That's when his stomach started hurting, started throwing up. Okay. Who you been with between that time?
He's been with no one except for me. Thank you.
Okay. So the concern here, the obvious concern, okay, is that something's happened that either yourself or Mr. Bennett are concerned to tell us.
God, no.
Okay.
If there was something, I would tell you and he would tell you.
Okay. Well, I hope
Nothing happened.
Well, something, there's something. We don't.
There's nothing in my house that he could even break into. I mean, to the extent that he would hit, he didn't even, the child learns about everything. So if he would have hit something, he would have came running to me, he would have cried, he didn't even cry. So.
Do you think there's any chance Mr. Bennett struck him?
No. The child, I mean, no. There's just no way that he is not.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you the only way to have a lacerated liver, multiple contusions of the bowel, a laceration to the pancreas, is from some sort of impact to that abdominal area. Okay.
No, in their right mind. And you're talking about within 24 hours. Absolutely not. I call.
How often do you call?
30 million times a day, especially if someone has my child. And
You
no one
call Mr. Bennett every
Yes.
30 minutes on
I
that?
call him. Every chance I get, I'm calling. And it has nothing to do with anybody. It has just to do with me always wanting to be around Carter and wanting to talk to Carter. So,
Should you think you talk to Mr. Bennett every 30 minutes on Monday?
not every 30 minutes on Monday. I got classes, but
So I mean, it's important at this point that we know how often you talk to Mr. Bennett on Monday. How often do you think you talk to him on Monday?
I call.
Well, let's go from that morning, because we know you come on Monday at lunch, around 11ish, is that right? She's 11, 7:15, she's back at 11ish. That's 4 hours.
I didn't want to Robin, so I didn't leave at 7:15. I left at 7:45 because I was.
No, in the video you leave.
Okay.
Okay. So, what, between that 7:15ish and 11:15ish, 11, did you call him? How many times did you call Mr. Bennett that morning?
I don't know. I always
Did you call all of them that day?
know. There's really no way. There's no way no one could have ever touched my child. And that is no. No.
Wow. You changed your phone service?
No.
Okay. So, is it your phone line and your phone service?
Yes.
Would you be willing to get your phone bill and show me? Because I'll need to know how often you call him that day.
We would have no issue.
Was there any change when you called him that they just sound different or?
No, like that's.
Because according to everything, really, it seems like something happened. I think it happened after lunch Monday, whatever it was. I think it happened after lunch Monday after you left. And then he went downhill from there.
What you're implying?
Ma'am?
I said what you're implying just is so bizarre Carter didn't like somebody, or if Carter felt a certain way about somebody, he would definitely not be around them, and I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't even allow it. I don't let anybody watch him except for the babysitter and me and Dad. That's just what it is. And that's just because of his breathing issues. I don't trust people with him in that situation. So if I would never leave my child with him if I ever thought that he was even capable. The man is not even capable of hurting a fly. So
Well, I mean, honestly, he seems like a pretty decent guy just from my personal opinion yourself. But these are the facts, okay? There is no me changing this.
the facts are, there was nothing wrong with my child. And if something was wrong with Carter, or if someone hit him, or whatever,
Okay.
he's a crybaby.
What was his vocabulary with you?
Who's Carter's?
Yes.
Mom, my stomach hurt.
So he could say that much of it.
He says that he can say it really, but he's not even to the point where he's like saying full blown sentences. He can mix words together, but if something is wrong with him, he's gonna whine, or he's gonna come to me and point and show me what happened, or show me who did it.
I'm gonna stop it right there, Judge. I give it time to stand there. All format, Alright, so we watched all those videos are fair and accurate, representations of the interviews that you did with her.
Yes, sir, it is.
And after each of these interviews, she was free to leave.
Yes, sir.
So, I want to point out, so in your interview with her that we just saw, you're working, you say, 24 hours. Okay, so this was December 7th of 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
And when did you end up leaving the sheriff's office?
February of 21.
Okay. You aware that there was a big meeting between the chief medical examiner, the forensic pathologist that performed the autopsy, and other members of the sheriff's office, DA's office? Were you aware that any of that happened?
At a certain point, that was.
Okay, was it after the fact that it happened? Yes. Okay. But you weren't involved in that meeting?
No.
And so at that time, you didn't have any information, really, other than what you've been provided, at least initially.
That's correct.
And at the time that you left the sheriff's office, you didn't have the final autopsy report.
No, I did not.
And the questions there, so you're asking about Kianna, right?
Yes, sir.
And that something happened, at least with the limited information that you had at that time, you're asking in the context of what was Kianna doing. And potentially this could have been, Monday afternoon after you left. What is the purpose of trying, bringing Kianna up? What are you trying to accomplish again?
Well, one of the things I'm trying to accomplish in this interview is to build a suspect list, a complete suspect list. I'm not sure anybody that the child in contact with over certainly 24 hours, but well beyond that, at least a day or two. That was one of my initial objectives.
Okay. And at that point in the interview, you got any information to indicate that any person had done anything? Nothing further this time around.
Mr. Bird, please review.
Thank you, Alex.
Good morning. Is it still okay for me to call you Sergeant?
Sure.
Sergeant Collins, it's always good to see you.
Sure, thanks to you too.
Let me ask you several questions. Once again, you originally got the call, did you not, to go to the hospital, Peach County Hospital over in Byron, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And by the time that you got over there, the child had already been pronounced deceased.
I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
Did you, was Ms. Davis there?
She was.
Okay, did you interview her then, or talk to her then?
I had a brief contact with her before leaving the hospital.
And was the contact that you had with her that she needed to go back to the apartment so somebody could walk through the apartment?
During our conversation, I asked her if I could use her apartment after leaving the hospital.
And she did in fact comply with that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Benton was with her also, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So it's well, let me ask you this: when the child was pronounced deceased, did you go with the child to the morgue at the hospital in Warner Robins?
I went into, it wasn't in the morgue, I went into the room where he was located.
Okay, but when the child was removed from or taken from the Peach County Hospital to go to the morgue in Warner Robins, is that right?
I'm not sure where the child went after the hospital. I was told by the coroner he would be going for autopsy to the GBI's office.
All right. So I take it that you left that you left from the Peach County Hospital and then went to the apartment there on Lakeview. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Davis was there with Mr. Benton. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And also Officer Boytel was there from Warner Robins. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, you talked to Ms. Davis to see about getting consent to search the inside of the apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you search it then, or did you wait for Officer Herrera to come, or Investigator Herrera to come from Warner Robins Police Department?
I waited for this here.
All right. But in any event, you got Ms. Davis to sign a handwritten or makeshift, if you would, consent search. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When the place was searched, was it just you and Investigator Herrera?
I don't recall who all was in the apartment. I believe there was one other officer. Maybe somebody assisted me, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Do you recall seeing Meredith Edwards from the Warner Robins Police Department over there?
No, sir.
Do you think it may have been Officer Boytel that went in to help search the place?
I'm not sure, sir.
Okay. Was the purpose of searching the apartment to clear it, or was it to gather evidence?
It was to document the scene.
Document the scene. And at any point in time, did you yourself gather evidence, or did you just watch Investigator Herrera do that?
I just observed. I did not collect evidence.
And did you stay there through the entire time that Investigator Herrera was photographing and collecting evidence? Did you stay the entire time?
Yes, sir. I believe I did. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I take it that Investigator Herrera gathered quite a bit of evidence. In other words, pillows, and do you recall anything that he may have taken?
I don't know all the specifics of this collection. I didn't observe each collection that he made.
Okay. And that was documented?
Yes, sir. They document each thing that they collect.
He would have done that just himself, or did you help him do that?
No, sir. He would have done that himself. I was not part of crime scene investigation.
In gathering that pillows, and do you know as well that he cut any of the carpet?
I do not know.
I mean, if he cut any of the carpet or taken samples from the carpet or bed mattress or anything of that nature, you would have seen that, would you not?
I was present, but I did not follow him around the entire time or help him collect him or anything of that nature.
In Investigator Herrera gathering this information, did he give it to you?
The evidence, the collection, no.
Right. have been considered the chief law enforcement person investigating this case at that time?
At the time, I would have been assigned investigator.
Okay, and that would have been in conjunction with the Laurel Police Department too, is that right?
Yes, sir.
The items that were gathered, I take it as standard protocol for law enforcement to take it back to their office and put it in an evidence vault, is that correct? Generally speaking.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if any of these items were ever turned over to you?
They were never turned over to me.
Okay, so I'm asking this question. Do you know if anything was turned over to the GBI?
I do not.
Okay, so you didn't do that, no? If anything was turned over to the GBI, that was not something that you did.
That I was involved in.
Do you know if anybody else from the Houston County Sheriff's Department did that?
I'm not sure, sir.
Now, you testified that you left the employ of Sheriff Talbot in February of 2021, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So at the time that you left the employ of the Sheriff's Department, to your knowledge, this case had not been taken to the grand jury of Houston County.
The time I left, sir, I was still waiting on, the sheriff's office still waiting on final autopsy results to report.
Now, you've testified that who was it, as far as this information that you relayed to Ms. Davis in this interview of December the 7th of 2020 concerning the injuries to the child, who did you get that information from?
The injuries about the child?
Right.
I was informed by staff at the hospital of his condition coming in.
Okay. So, I mean, did you receive this information from Danny Galpin, who was the coroner at that time?
Danny Galpin was present when I was at the hospital, and I did receive information from him.
Okay, so you received it from Danny Galpin.
I received information from different parties. So Danny Galpin provided information that he had, and then the staff at the hospital provided their information.
Was any of the information that you received in writing?
Not at that time.
Or at any time did you receive anything in writing?
I had statements later.
I'm not talking about statements from people that worked at the, and I think, did you receive the written statements from all of the employees at the pediatric place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Besides that, well, did you ever talk to the medical examiner, Dr. Brown?
From GBI?
Right.
I believe I had a brief conversation with him on the phone.
And once again, all this information that you received was before you left the sheriff's office in February of 2021. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who was it that you turned the file over to once you left?
My lieutenant.
Lieutenant Meadows.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, do you know as to whether or not any of the items that were collected from the apartment were ever sent to the crime lab, not necessarily by you, but by any law enforcement agency?
I don't know, sir. At that time.
Now, we've watched these videos that you had with Miss Davis. Once again, one was on the day after, on the 18th of November, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the next one was done 3 weeks or so later on the 7th of December, is that right?
Yes, sir.
In between the time of the first and the second one, Ms. Davis had moved to the Atlanta area, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And once again, at no time did you ever advise her of Miranda rights?
No, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
I recall in the first statement that she gave to you, November the 18th, 2020, that she was extremely emotional, was she not?
Yes, sir, she was.
And at one point in time, you told her, did you not, don't blame yourself for this?
I don't know that I use those words. You'd have to look back. I recall saying, you couldn't have known while I was speaking with her what was going on.
But, you know, once again, the jury can recollect for themselves what they heard you say.
Yes, sir.
So I take it at some point in time between the first interview and the second interview is when you gathered information from either the coroner or people at the hospital or something.
Between the first and second interview, at one point I was contacted by the coroner and Kianna.
All right. And I think you personally met with him
I spoke with him on the phone
for how long a period of time?
a few minutes.
A few minutes. And did he ever reduce to writing anything that he told you?
Well, I'm sure at some point he did, but I didn't have that at the time. I wrote down what he said as he said it.
Did you later learn to understand that what was the reason for the delay in the autopsy report? Do you know?
I believe workload from the GBI.
Okay. Was there any concern about any toxicology reports or any other reports that GBI needed to do on the child's body?
Yes, sir. All that was concerned being waiting for the sheriff's office.
Yeah. And I mean, if you left in February of 2021, that was only like 2 or 3 months. Is that correct from the date of the death?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that the autopsy report was not done until the end of September of that year? I mean, you were already gone by then.
I was gone, yes, sir.
Did you ever have a chance to go over the autopsy report?
No, sir.
Were you ever asked to by the district attorney or anyone else in law enforcement?
I recently went over pictures from the apartment, but I did not go over the actual autopsy report.
And the pictures that you described, those are the ones that basically we've seen. Well, you weren't in here, but the photographs that were taken by Investigator Herrera.
Yes, sir.
Now, the interview that you did with Miss Davis on December the 7th, that was played yesterday and part of today, that didn't include the entire conversation that you had. Is that correct? Or do you remember? In other words, do we see everything?
Yes, sir. As far as I'm aware, I don't recall any other interviews with her that's not recorded. That's what you're asking.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is there was more to the interview than what the jury is saying.
I do know the interview at the end of this. And in this interview, she left.
And once again, she was not placed under arrest.
No, sir. She's never in custody.
Did you seek warrants against her?
No, sir.
Did you seek warrants against Mr. Benson?
No, sir.
Would that have been your responsibility to seek warrants?
No, sir, not necessarily.
Whose job would it have been?
These type of cases, these cases get forwarded to the district attorney's office.
So there were never any warrants that were taken against Ms. Davis?
I never took a warrant against Ms. Davis.
Then are you aware, based on what you know of the case, that there were never any warrants taken against Ms. Davis?
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yeah.
Sergeant, let me ask you a few more questions, if I may.
Yes, sir.
From the period of time that this event occurred until you left the employ of the sheriff, did you talk to Ms. Davis any other time besides in the office there at the sheriff's department?
I made contact with her by phone.
By phone? Did she ever make contact with you by phone?
She returned the call.
And would this have been after the conversation that you had with her on December the 7th of 2020?
Yes, sir.
In talking with her, did you advise her that you were leaving the sheriff's department and then be turned over to someone else?
I don't recall doing so.
Okay. Just say it, John. Judges all around. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Webb?
Just briefly, Your Honor. So I think Mr. Gruber asked that at some point in the first interview, you may have said something about don't blame yourself or something to that effect. Do you recall that?
I recall hearing myself say that she couldn't have known during the first interview when it seemed to be a medical situation.
Okay. So you didn't have a whole lot of info at that time.
I'm still gathering information.
And there was some questions by defense counsel about whether or not any evidence went to GBI at all, correct?
Right.
And there was one very large piece of evidence, for lack of a better way to say it, that went to GBI, right?
Referring to the deceased.
Yes. His liver and his body.
Yes, yes.
Nothing further.
Anything else, Mr. Greer?
Nothing else. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're free to go, Mr. Collins. Thank you. You may go or stay as you wish.
Thank you, ma'am.
Call your next witness, please.
Lieutenant Darren Meadows. Can you raise your right hand for me? You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Lieutenant Darren Meadows,
And you're a lieutenant. Where are you a lieutenant?
Houston County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the sheriff's office?
37 years.
It kind of dawned on me that we get ranks of people who come up here and don't really explain what they are. What's a lieutenant?
Well, in my office, I'm the assistant division commander. So that means I'm like the number, there's a captain, and then I'm the lieutenant. And then we both have similar duties in that we manage the investigators in our office and some other related duties.
And is that for the juvenile division?
Yes, that's for the juvenile division of the sheriff's office.
And what is the role of the juvenile division of the sheriff's office?
We have two main roles. One is to investigate child abuse-related incidents involving children under the age of 18, and also juvenile crime-related issues for children who go out and commit crimes.
Were you working in that capacity in November of 2020?
Yes.
And have you been working in that capacity since November of 2020?
Yes, sir, I have.
I assume you were working in that capacity before those dates as well?
Yes.
Okay. And as lieutenant, did you become aware of an investigation into the death of Carter Ambrose around that time?
I did.
Okay. And who was the investigator who was on call?
Sergeant Keith Collins.
And he's the one who just testified, right?
Yes.
And so he would be the person leading up the investigation, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And would you have any involvement in his investigation?
Possibly. It depends on the case. I'm usually, I have 7 investigators that work for me, so they're all working cases at any given time. So they usually keep me updated on the status of what's going on in their investigations.
Okay. And at some point while the Carter Ambrose murder was under investigation, did...
If you don't, please, let me just, that's for this jury to decide. I mean, I just object to it being characterized as being a murder.
Well, that's the objections overruled. That is the prosecution's characterization, and they can ask that. Obviously, that will be the question the jury has to decide. So go ahead.
Did Sergeant Collins leave at some point?
He is.
Okay. And then you became involved?
I did.
Okay. And how did that come about?
Well, it was just kind of the natural evolution of the case. By the time, I think he left 3 or 4 months after the death of the child, and he had done most of the investigation. Up to that point, he had completed everything that was available to be completed.
Okay.
We were waiting on the medical examiner's report, so I was just kind of monitoring the case at that point just to make sure there wasn't anything else that was needed or something else that
district attorney's office felt like we needed to do or review. So I was just trying to kind of monitor what was going on with it up until the time, the case was complete.
Okay, and it took a while to get the autopsy report, the finalized version, correct?
It did.
And prior to receiving the finalized autopsy report, was there some kind of meeting with certain people involved with GBI in your office?
Yes, we had a Zoom meeting with myself, I believe it was Eric Edwards with the DA's office, and then the two of the medical examiners from the GBI.
There's Daniel Brown, the medical examiner,
Correct.
and then Jonathan Eisenstadt, who at the time was the chief medical examiner.
Yes, sir. So,
And you said members of the DA's office.
yeah, that was on September 27th of 21.
And from your recollection, what was the purpose of that meeting?
To understand exactly, to discuss what the final outcome was of the medical examiner's autopsy, and to kind of nail down like time frames, what exactly happened, what was the report going to be, when were we going to get the report. We had communicated with them over and over again about needing the report, and it was trying to get all the complete information for the case.
Right, and at that meeting, I think a time frame for when the injury could have happened was discussed as well, right?
Yes.
And then after that meeting, at what point was the autopsy report received?
I received it on November 12th, 21.
And after that, up to this point, had you interviewed anybody involved in the case?
No, sir.
You had this meeting with people who were involved in the case, but the witnesses and stuff, I think you said Sergeant Collins had kind of completed all that.
It had all been completed months earlier. We were just waiting on the additional information to complete the case file and investigation.
Did you reach out to the defendant after that meeting?
Yes, after I received the final autopsy report from the GBI, I reached out to Kianna Davis, the defendant, and asked if she would like to come in to discuss that we had received the final report and she'd like to come in to discuss the report.
Okay, you said you called her?
I did.
Okay, do you remember, did she agree to come down and talk with you?
She did.
Okay, do you remember when that conversation took place?
She came to my office on December 9th of 2021.
And when you said she came, do you know how she got there?
I do not know. She just showed up at my office.
Was she a suspect?
I think so, yes, sir.
Okay. She was a suspect in the case?
Yeah, she was the mother of the child with the child.
Okay. And in order to get her to come down or to drive to juvenile or however she got there and speak with you, did you offer her any hope, benefit, or promises?
No, sir.
Did you threaten or coerce her in any way?
No, sir.
Was she in custody at the time?
She was not.
Did you arrest her at all that day?
I did not.
Did you read her Miranda?
I did not.
Why not?
Because she was not in custody. It was not an in-custody statement. She was free to go.
I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off. And after you guys spoke, did she leave?
She did.
Okay. And this interview, was it recorded?
It was.
Have you reviewed it?
I have.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of the interview?
It is.
Has it been changed or altered in any way?
It has not been unaware.
This is State's Exhibit 63, which I will offer in evidence now.
It's admitted.
Over objection, Your Honor.
Noted.
Before I continue on, where is this?
This is at my office, the
Okay.
juvenile division of the sheriff's office.
This is your interview room,
It is.
and is that Miss Davis?
Yes.
What's the drug deal?
Wrong. Yeah, traffic. It's so much traffic, and then they're working on the oil field, of course, so.
Sure.
Lanes are closed,
Almost
Atlanta, 75 to 675, 85.
Yeah.
No. You're just rolling the dice
Yes.
every time you get up there. So, let me just get a little current information. Can you get your home address?
302 RCARDSLEY Place. That's Northwest Georgia, 309-3. And it's apartment 302.
What was it?
309-3.
All right, and your phone number's the same?
Yes.
What's that?
478-302-3335.
3335? And, Norcross, is that North Atlanta?
It is.
Okay. And where do you work at this is?
Peachtree Ridge High School in Gwinnett County.
Peachtree?
Ridge.
What do you do there?
A teacher in computer science.
Oh, good. All right. And let's see. That's okay. Now, Mr. Benton, are y'all still together? No? Do you know where he's currently residing?
I don't, but I'm pretty sure he's in the same spot.
Somewhere in the Atlanta area? Okay. That's what I thought. I'm just trying to make sure I have updated information. So, I don't know if you knew or not, but Sergeant Collins, who originally investigated the death of your child, was he's no longer with the department. So, the case has been just kind of, he had done almost the entire investigation, but at some point, we've just been waiting on medical examiner report, which for some reason took an extraordinarily long amount of time. I've never had one take this long, so that's why I contacted you to let you know kind of that it was finished. We had some discussion about the case and where we go from here, and I just kind of wanted to bring in that. And I think y'all already used some of this because Sergeant Collins had told you, but until we actually get an official report from the medical examiner for the GPI, then that's what we have to go by. So I'll just go through and read some of this to you. Now this part is from, let's see, Amy Goodwin, which is GBI. So they've sent this report to the coroner, which is Danny Galpin, in reference to Carter. This was a full autopsy done. The immediate cause of death was bone impact injuries of the abdomen with a laceration of the liver. They deemed the manner of death to be a homicide. And injuries would have occurred by the child receiving blunt impact trauma to the abdomen. Okay, and that was signed off in September of this year. And they've got a lot of just report stuff that's just some that's just medical terminology and stuff, leads and different things. And, let's see if I can get down here. Under the opinion, now this is the opinion of the medical examiner who performed the autopsy. I'll read it. It says, this 10-month-old black male child, Carter Ambrose, died of blunt impact injuries to his abdomen. Carter was the last known alive on Tuesday, November 17, 2020, at approximately 30 hours. The mother reports that the child had thrown up in his bed around 0200 and told his mother that his stomach had hurt. The mother left the child in the care of her boyfriend at approximately 7:15. The boyfriend called the mother at approximately 8:30 and said that Carter was having trouble breathing and going in and out of consciousness. He had given the child a breathing treatment, but it didn't work. The mother said to take Carter to his pediatrician, which was located nearby. Upon arrival, he was unresponsive, and the doctor administered CPR, and the nurses called for EMS. This then was transported to the hospital, where resuscitative measures continued but unsuccessful. Further information is contained in the
impact injuries of the head and torso. Most significant injuries were multiple contusions of the abdomen and a liver laceration, which resulted in bleeding into the soft tissue and abdominal cavity. Based on the information known, the manner of death is classified as a homicide. If any, so the cause of death. So that's kind of
Which I know, we've been in contact with the coroner.
okay.
My question would be, the blunt force, was that from CPR?
No, because that's why he went into distress. His abdomen was full of blood, and even if if you had a layperson that was pushing someone's chest, these were doctors and nurses that, well, I think the doctor himself was performing the CPR.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a medical professional who's doing that, but no.
There's just no way. There's really just no way. Because my son has been multiple places before this passing, all of which he showed no sign of hurting, no sign of anything until a literal, my stomach hurts. And that's the last thing, and it wasn't even my stomach hurts and he's in pain. It was, Mommy, my stomach hurts.
But yeah, he started having the stomach pain and the vomiting started happening
The night before.
Sunday night too.
Correct. No, Sunday night
Yeah.
is when I asked him, he looked like he wasn't feeling well.
Okay.
Which that wasn't something that it was dramatic because of the time of year is when he normally has breathing issues, and that's what to me it seemed like he was just not feeling well, not
Right.
anything.
But on Sunday night he did complain of stomach hurting, and then continued through Monday off and on was vomiting some, correct?
Monday was when I was at work in Warner Robins.
Right.
I literally went home and he was asleep on the couch. That's when I saw throw up on the floor. At the time I didn't know it was throw up because it just looked like his juice that he had been drinking.
But now, if he was that carpet or like
Carpet.
If
It's orange juice.
Did Kianna?
Mm-hmm.
Did he have not seen that?
Yes, he was sleeping on the couch. I don't know if he saw it on the floor or whatever, but me.
I just know if my wife came home when my kids were throwing on the floor and they cleaned it up, I'd be like, I'd be like in trouble, kind of thing.
I came in. He's on the couch sleeping. I go over to check on him, kiss him, just to see if he's fine. I look over. I see blood on the floor. Well, from what I suspected, juice.
Yeah.
Because he had his cup, his sippy cup. Carter is usually known for throwing the juice around or the cup around. So my immediate thought is he threw his cup.
And juice just went everywhere. But then you later figured out it was,
Later, as in when I went back to work and I came back home, there was also juice on the couch. Which then I said, I then cooked dinner. I also bathed him. In the bath was when I was washing his butt, and he was complaining about his bottom area hurting.
like his butt or like his
Like his,
or lower abdominal?
yes.
Okay.
Well, really his balls.
Okay.
And he had done that a week before. But I didn't make anything about it because he's dramatic. Carter, he's a mommy boy. So I said, okay, I'm going to see if he complains about this again. Nothing else. The next thing I know was the day that he passed away. That night before, I had put him in bed because of the stomach and he had threw up in the bed.
Okay.
That was the first alarming thing to me.
Right.
Nothing else throughout the entire day, even when I got back home. Nothing else would even tell you that this child was in pain. He was not acting any kind of way, which is why it was such a, if his stomach hadn't hurt to the point where he would make any kind of movement to let me know that he was in that much pain, I lived next door to the doctor.
Well, and realistically, I don't know, I'm not an expert on those kind of injuries. I've been working in this office for almost 30 years, so I've seen a lot of stuff and, had a lot of investigations. I don't know how much pain he would have been in. If there was some impact to his abdomen that caused a liver to start bleeding, it could have just been slowly bleeding. I don't know that, maybe that's something that just over time got worse, and eventually that's what happened. He got to the point where, he was unconscious.
And that's what is so confusing about this entire thing.
But now, when we talk to the medical examiners, and they're giving us a window of, 24, 48 hours when the injury could have occurred. So we're looking at something in that time frame, and realistically, I know from looking back at Sergeant Collins' report that, I know you picked him up for daycare on Friday, so that's, we're talking almost 4 days earlier. You went to the grandfather's Saturday for a few hours, right?
Basically the whole day, because I went over there and I cooked for my grandfather, and Carter was in the bed sleeping.
But he was with you that time, correct?
Correct. He was right there with me.
Right there with you. So then we have Sunday, which is all day with you, and then later that afternoon, Kianna? Is that how you said it?
Kianna
Came down later this afternoon around 5, and then he was there that night, and was there all day Monday. Now, it's my understanding that you contacted the child's father on Monday and asked him to watch him because he was sick.
Because he was not feeling well.
Right.
Correct.
He was sick, and
I had to go to work.
and apparently he was unable to. So I guess that's why Kianna just stayed over.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So.
And the reason being is because my child's father is a firefighter. So I knew, number one, we're very familiar with Carter around that time of year, having issues. And number two, if he could be with anybody, I wouldn't leave him with someone that's not me or him, or someone close to him.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's why none of this makes sense. I know for a fact it didn't happen within the last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday before, or the Monday before he passed.
Well, you don't know if you're not there. So when you're working, you're not there. You can't say something didn't happen. And I know from reading the other stuff that you think Kianna has nothing to do with this. And again, I don't know. I'm just doing the follow-up on this, okay? And I'm not here to rehash the whole case. Y'all already discussed it in other sessions. But me as someone who's seen a lot of these cases, not necessarily this particular kind, but in general, I guess my question, on your end would have been, as the mom, why did you wait so long if he was sick and you were used to taking him to the doctor, if he'd been complaining like for a day and a half about, on and off about his stomach and throwing up at least 4 times.
Here's why. Because Carter is used to, for whatever reason, when he was first born, he would throw up for milk.
Okay.
He's had multiple situations where he'll throw up.
But that's not unusual for children who are on formula to throw up.
Correct.
That's.
However, Carter also, a couple weeks prior to this, and multiple times, would have random reactions to foods, anything, and every time I take him to the doctor, they just throw him on a steroid. Send us on our way.
Okay.
So the stomach ache, if it would have gotten over to a 24-hour period to where he was actually complaining and still complaining about it, yes, I would have taken him to the doctor. But that's the reason why this doesn't make sense to me, that it couldn't have happened in that time frame. Because
Well, but then my question to you is that if on Sunday night was his first time he was really complaining, saying he was hurting, and now Tuesday morning, you woke up in the middle of the night, early morning, and he's thrown up again, and you put him in the bed.
Well, that's not reason for calling his dad.
But
Because
that was, you called him Monday, right?
correct.
Okay, but
Sunday night
but
and
you,
Monday morning.
but you said something to the effect of it had been more than 24 hours, but it had been more than 24 hours.
Sunday was the first time that he had ever said anything, or not even really say anything, but started to show, act as if he was not himself.
Okay. And I get that, but we're at Tuesday morning, you leave for work,
Correct.
so we're
Tuesday morning.
we're over a day. You go from Sunday night, Monday night, now we're Tuesday morning, and you know he's still sick, and y'all give me breathing treatments, and
We gave him one breathing.
the one treatment, which I think that was when he was toward the end, and then of course he had to rush him to the pediatrician's office at that point. But,
Correct.
I'm just asking, was there? Did you just not think he was that sick, or I mean?
A stomachache is not alarming to me,
Okay.
which is why my initial thought was check his breathing, because that's his normal issues.
But he never had problems with the breathing.
We've been at NICU 3 times.
No, I'm talking about during this time.
During this time, I did not know. That's just my first immediate, let me check his breathing because of the time of year, number one, and because of his history. He's continuously in the doctor's office for breathing issues. So that was my first thought. With a stomachache, he's had multiple stomach aches before. So that's why I'm saying, if it was something to where he was crouching over or can't walk or not running around laughing and smiling, of course I would have taken him to the doctor. I go there more times than not. I'm sure they'll tell you. However, it wasn't that. It was literally, Mommy, my stomach hurts, and laying on me. Do you want to go to bed? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go lay down. That's it. And so for me, that's where my pain is, because I have no idea what could have happened to my child and when it could have happened.
Do you think now, looking back, if you had maybe had taken him Monday or taken him to the ER, that and he was bleeding internally, that maybe something could have been found on that?
I don't know. And here's why. Because any other time I take him to the doctor for the breathing, we'd be brushed off. Send him a steroid, send him home. We've been to a pulmonologist. Oh, he doesn't.
But this isn't breathing. This is abdominal pain and throwing up.
This is a stomach ache to me, not abdominal pain. This is.
Okay, well, it's hard to qualify, but I understand what you're saying.
If he came to me and said, and was crying, or acting as if he's just literally, from what you're telling me, he should be in the most pain.
Again, I don't know. I don't know how that reflects. But if, and I'm just giving you a scenario. I have no idea. If you leave for work at Monday at 7 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock something happens, and 3 hours later you come home for lunch,
And he's asleep.
and he's asleep, and
Well, that's.
maybe he's not in pain. Maybe he was, there was some injury there, and he bled, and then he continued to bleed until, Tuesday. But there's no way an internal organ can get lacerated.
There's no way.
Right. It just can't happen.
So.
Does this change any concerns you have
I
about Kianna?
know Kianna as a person. I know who he is, and I know how he is with kids, and especially with my child. He's in the process of trying to get past his own.
I understand that. But
So.
sometimes good people make mistakes and do bad things.
Sure.
I mean, it does happen.
Sure.
And I will tell you, it's from my experience, that when you have a child that's going through potty training issues, or kind of that transition where sometimes they have an accident or they do that. I think there was some discussion about he peed on himself some, and a few times during this issue, through this investigation, that sometimes those people get frustrated and that can make them act out angrily toward a child during a potty training. I'm not saying you did.
No,
I'm just saying that somebody else could.
I understand what you're saying, and if that's the case, then do whatever you need to do. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I know for a fact that in my care, nothing happened to my child. I know for a fact that when I got home, my child was not acting as if anything had happened to him or if anybody beat him up. And in my mind, because of the relationship that I have with my child and because of previous incidents where even if a child hit him or if someone told him something that he didn't want to do, he'd run to me and immediately tell me.
Let me ask you this. If Carter had been with his dad that weekend, only his dad, no one else, no girlfriend, no grandparents' house, he stayed with his dad all weekend and then had passed just like he did on Tuesday morning. And they come back with this report that says blunt force trauma, lacerated liver, bled internally. What would you think then? Would you say just because he's a good person he couldn't have done it?
I had the same questions because of who he is as a person.
Right.
I don't know. I can't speak on who people are if I have never seen them in that way.
Sure.
So no, I would not have felt any differently about this situation.
So you
because I know
so your feelings are based on the fact that
of how I know the person.
the person, okay. And I assume how you've seen them interact with
How
your
I've
child.
seen them interact with my child. Neither one of them.
But
I
you do understand that in and of itself is not enough to clear a person.
Oh, of course.
Because if we say Kianna didn't have any part in this, then the only other person is you. And you're saying adamantly you didn't do it.
Let's be clear. There is no way in the world that I would hurt my child, and I work with kids all day. That's me. So
But you're
I don't care.
saying if Kianna did this, he should be punished.
Yeah. That's not even a question.
So,
I don't care.
but I guess I'm a little confused from the standpoint of if you were the only person there,
If I was the only person.
then we would all be talking to you. But since you know there was only one other person that was there, how can
It's
you?
hard for me to come to a conclusion about someone that I've never seen. That to me that's like false accusations. I don't want to be a part of that. If he did, hold him accountable. Do whatever you gotta do. I don't care. It's my child. At this point, it's me and my child against everybody else. I don't care. But what I'm saying is that what I know is what I said. And if he knows anything, and if he feels if he didn't reveal everything, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't care. Because I just want to know what happened to my son, who did it, and I want that person held responsible. But I know for a doggone fact it didn't happen in my care.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
I guess what we're looking at as far as the case goes, and ultimately the district attorney's office makes the decision on who's charged and how they're charged. But you know, if he's charged with a crime of murder or involuntary manslaughter or something like that, you know, that'll be something that the DA decides. But you have to understand also as a parent
I understand.
and as a caretaker, you bear some responsibility in the fact that you are the parent who's supposed to care for him, and
Right.
he was sick, and he didn't get medical treatment or get checked, and therefore wound up dying as well. So
When
there are
you say sick, it annoys me because
I'm sorry.
it's
Injured?
almost as if
I'm not.
I wouldn't have taken those steps.
I understand, and you know what? Hindsight's 20/20. We can all look back and say we should have done something different, or maybe you say you should.
I shouldn't have, because I would have done the exact same thing because it literally, this child sang, danced, smiled, laughed, everything with me that night before. So for me, my immediate thought, because I know my child, I'll be looking for all the signs.
Okay,
All
but
the signs.
what I'm telling you is, from a legal standpoint, if the child had some presentment of some type of issue or problem that could have resulted in him getting medical treatment and that was not done or being checked, then you could also have an issue of legal responsibility as well.
So would you take your child to the hospital when they ask you for a stomach ache? Or said they had stomach ache? Would that be your first?
Well, it wasn't the first time. I'm not saying Sunday night, just because he says he's has some issues or throws up, that you immediately have to go, but you got Sunday, you got Monday night, you got Tuesday morning. So
Tuesday morning, nothing was going on with him. Tuesday morning,
when you said you woke up and he had vomited all over himself.
that was in the middle of the night.
But when I say Tuesday morning, I was told it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, so.
When I went to check on him, he had thrown up in the bed. Which is why I picked him up.
Look, and I don't want to get argumentative with you, but I'm just trying to explain to you where we're at. Where we're at legally, okay? That you could bear some legal responsibility from the fact that he wasn't given care and he obviously passed from injuries he had that appeared to be during that time he had sustained injuries. Okay? So I don't know that will happen, but that's certainly something.
He certainly won't. That's why I have an attorney.
Well,
at
the
this
attorney
point,
can't keep you from getting charged with
But what I'm telling you is don't. Now you're irritating me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to irritate you.
Because at this point, it's almost as if, and it has been almost as if I'm a bad mother. And no one has asked about my reputation as a mother, as a teacher, as someone who's literally mentored kids since I was in 12th grade with this police department. So I don't care.
I read through the report that they did ask about you.
Okay. And I don't care. At the end of the day, everyone around me knows I would do anything for my child. I will protect my child from my own family. If anyone did anything that I did not like, for instance, when my mother herself did not take his breathing issues as if it was a serious thing, she no longer got to watch him. So at this point, that's what I'm trying to tell you. If any indication, he would have been removed.
Well, I believe you on that. I'm not saying you.
As a single mom, what was I supposed to do when I asked his father to get him and take care of him?
I don't know. I don't know if you can take off work. That's what I think.
And that's my point. Because that whole week, I was already supposed to be home. It's the end of towards holidays. We only get a certain amount of days. I was actually in the middle of switching jobs. So I was already done that rest of the week, which is why I didn't take off and which is why I offered or asked his father to get him for that day, because I was going to be off the rest of the weekend anyway. So, with that being said, I did everything I knew how to do and what to do. As far as this investigation goes, I don't care what you do with Kianna. But that's who seems like we need to be talking to. Because at the end of the day, I walked in my house, I saw throw on my, or juice on my floor, whatever it was, and I immediately thought, this is weird. But it didn't strike me to be like, oh my God, let me take my son to the hospital. I've been through many situations where he almost did not make it because of his breathing. So I know when it's serious with my child. And I know how my child acts when it's serious.
But apparently this time you were wrong. Correct?
Weird.
Your son passed away.
My son passed away, yes.
Apparently the wrong decision was made at some point.
Ooh, Jesus.
Well, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
I just need a copy of everything that you guys the medical reports I've been sending.
I can't give you anything because it's still an open, ongoing investigation. At some point when that's closed, then you can get a copy of whatever you need.
So can my attorney request it?
He can request it, but he can't have it.
Okay.
That's what the investigation is closed. All right?
extent of your involvement in this case, other than the fact that you're here today?
I completed a report based on the interview, and then I forwarded that along with video to the district attorney's office to complete the case file.
Did you handle any evidence in this case?
Other than the video and the report back on it. No, sir.
That you weren't out at the scene?
No, sir, I wasn't involved in the scene or the actual investigation.
Do you know where she was living at the time?
Apartment complex in Warren.
In Warren Robins? You know who was in Houston County?
It is,
Alright. Do you see Kianna Davis in the courtroom today?
right there.
What's she wearing?
White shirt.
He's identified that for the purposes of the record. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruz, you have questions for Lieutenant Davis?
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant Davis, good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
We go back a long way, do we not?
We do, sir.
I'm not going to be very long with you, but ask you a few things. This incident occurred on or about November the 17th of 2020, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, you were the lieutenant that was in charge of all of the investigators, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the on-call investigator was Sergeant Pete Collins, is that correct?
Yes, of course.
Once again, you didn't go to the scene there on Lakeview Road, did you?
No, sir.
Did you? When the investigation that the sergeant did on this case included, did it not, a gathering of possible evidence from the scene? Is that right?
I believe there was some items gathered from the scene.
Okay. But you answered Mr. Joyne's question, and I don't want to belabor the point, but the evidence was taken by Investigator Herrera with the Warren Police Department. Is that correct? That you know of?
That's my understanding.
Okay. And protocol would be for the Warren Police Department to hold that evidence until such time it was needed either by somebody that can analyze it. Is that right?
Assuming it was something that needed to be analyzed, yes.
Were you made aware that there was evidence collected at the scene that should be analyzed?
Yes.
In information provided to you, being the supervisor by Sergeant Collins, did he ever inform you that the Warren Police Department had taken photographs, had collected possible evidence that could be used in this case?
I don't think we had a specific discussion about what was photographed or what was taken. I knew that Warren Robins had processed the crime scene, which is very common when we work cases within their jurisdiction. And they always photograph and take anything, take evidence, whether that's their doing or directed by us. I wasn't aware of that specifically.
But once again, 3 months or so later, Sergeant Collins left the sheriff's office, and that left the case in whose lap?
Left it what, sir?
Who's the case left with?
It was left with me.
Okay.
Well, as I testified, it was mostly completed from that point. In May of 21, after he left, it was requested that we send the case file to the medical examiner's office, a copy of it, and we did that. So they knew what was there, what was collected. If they had wanted to examine something or test something further, they certainly could have requested that we would send it.
were you aware that soon after the child died, that toxicology reports were done on the child as far as, were you aware of that? That there were toxicology reports that were done and completed by the GBI and turned over to law enforcement?
The only thing I was aware of was the final report that we got in late 21. They did a separate toxicology that was sent in. I'm not familiar with that.
Would reports of that nature be necessary in order for there to be an autopsy report?
That's usually part of the autopsy. We wait on that. Generally, that's one of the things that we have to wait on is the toxicology and things for them to include that in the final report.
But once again, the sergeant leaves, you take over the case in February of 2021, right?
Yes, I'm basically monitoring the case at that point.
Okay, by monitoring, what do you do?
I'm not doing anything on a day-to-day basis. The case, as I said, was already investigated. We were waiting on the final autopsy report to find out exactly what caused the death and everything, so we could proceed and finish the investigation.
So the autopsy report was done after you had this Zoom meeting with Dr. Eisenstadt and Dr. Brown and Eric Edwards of the district attorney's office and other people that work in their office. Is that right? That was in September?
Yes.
All right. And within a couple of days, the report was generated.
I don't know when it was generated, so I guess there's a date on it, but it was given to me on November 12th.
All right. If the report, do you have a copy of the report with you?
I do.
The report reflected it was actually signed off on by Dr. Brown and provided or completed on September the 29th of 2021.
Yes.
Last page shows it. In the meantime, up until this time, had you ever talked to Ms. Davis?
No.
Do you know if she had ever called your office?
I'm not aware. I assume she talked to Sergeant Collins, but I have never talked to her.
Okay. Do you know as well not anyone in your office ever talked with Ms. Davis from the time that Sergeant Collins left until you had this Zoom meeting in September of 2021?
Not that I'm aware of.
But in any event, you get the report. The report's provided to you in November, basically in the middle of November of 2021. Is that right?
Correct.
And you took it upon yourself to contact Ms. Davis to see if she could come meet with you.
Yes.
And she came right on down.
About a week later.
There wasn't any real delay.
About a week later.
All right. And the first time I guess you met her was when she sat down at the table with you?
Which is on video, yes, sir.
All right.
That's been my only contact other than the phone call.
All right. When she met with you, she told you that she had in fact moved. She had taken a job. She had left this area and taken a job up at Peachtree Ridge High School in Gwinnett County. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you check on that?
To verify she was employed as a
Right.
teacher? No, sir.
Objection on relevance, Judge.
All right, I'll move on. But in any event, based on your reading of the autopsy report, at that point in time, you considered her a suspect, did you not?
Yes.
And once again, you did not advise of any Miranda rights. Is that right?
That's correct.
Did she come with an attorney?
She did not.
She mentioned during the conversation that she had an attorney, did she not?
She didn't say she had one. She asked if she needed to bring one, and I told her she could bring one anytime she wanted.
But she
said she did not wish to bring an attorney.
Okay, but at the end of her conversation, she mentioned that she had an attorney. Is that
Oh, you're
right?
talking about the video?
Right.
Oh, yes. When I mentioned that she could possibly be charged, she said, well, I have an attorney. And I think my response was something like, well, an attorney can't keep you from being charged with a crime.
But she asked you, did she not, if she could have a copy the autopsy report,
She did.
and you wouldn't give it to her?
No, sir.
Why?
Because we don't give out copies of our case file until the case is completed.
So, I mean,
And I told her that after once it's completed, she was welcome to have a copy.
okay. But you also said that she asked if her attorney could get it, because you didn't think that they would give it to the attorney.
We wouldn't give it, now they could give it to the DA's office during discovery. She could request it from the coroner's office if she wanted to.
Now, this was, once again, this conversation that you had with her, is that the last time that you talked to her?
It is.
And that was, once again, December the 9th of 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she was free to leave after that.
She was free to leave and she did leave.
And at any point in time, did you ever arrest her?
I did not.
Did you ever take warrants?
I did not.
You presented to the district attorney's office for them to consider this, is that right?
The agreement, discussion with the DA's office was that once we completed everything, it would be turned over to their office. They would review everything, and then it would be presented to the grand jury for an indictment.
And when this matter was presented to the grand jury, it was when?
I could tell you, sir, I wasn't involved in that.
About 2 years later. Is that fair statement?
I would assume, but again, I wasn't there.
Okay. You weren't the
Objections are not relevance.
Objections overruled. It is already in evidence, however, that this case was presented to the grand jury in October of 2023. Moving on.
all right. But you didn't present this case to the grand jury.
I did not know.
During the period of time between when you had this meeting with Ms. Davis and the time that it was indicted, did you continue to work on the case?
There wasn't anything for us to work on after I completed writing it up and I turned over my case file. I continued to have communication with the DA's office about the grand jury, when was the case being presented. So that was my only follow-up, was inquiring about that.
And you never had any other occasion to talk to Ms. Davis about this matter?
I did not.
Just say it, John.
Yep.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Will this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Lieutenant Meadows. You're free to go or stay as you wish.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been on in about an hour and 45 minutes, so we're going to take it, a little longer than that, actually. Anyhow, we'll do for a break. Don't talk about the case. Don't let anybody talk about the case with you. Take about 15 minutes, you may be excused to the jury room. How many more you got, Mr.?
Send the rest.
Okay. All right. So if you're going to do that after the break, Mr. Greer, do you have evidence you want to present?
Judge, if I may talk to my client during the break,
Yep.
if she was going to testify.
Okay. I'm going to print. I don't hear it coming on. Maybe I'm going to go to my office and print a copy of the charge that I have thus far, so that when we're talking, y'all can follow along. And then we'll see where we're at, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's take 15 minutes and then we'll reconvene